It was May of 2013, and I got my first internship after attending the Rochester Institute of Technology. And it was a significant moment for me. It was a lot bigger moment than I think I ever planned on it being, and it shifted my perspective completely. One moment I was spending money working towards acquiring a degree, and then the next moment I was working to build an income and build a life that I would enjoy. And I was finally taking a step in the life that all of my time at college had prepared me for. And what I was left with was something that I was not expecting at all. There was a mountain of debt left waiting for me. For the first time, I actually sat down and looked at my loans. And I know that sounds kind of odd, but the entire time I was at RIT taking classes, I never once worried about my finances. I knew that things were getting paid for by loans, but I never really thought about what the loans were, how much they were, or when they'd have to get paid back. I was kind of oblivious to it the entire time. And I know that sounds kind of stupid now, but I finally sat down, put a list together of all the loans, and saw that my loans totaled $90,000. And that was surprising to me. And on top of that, there was about $6,000 of interest that would accrue every year automatically. And so while my first internship was paying $15 an hour, which I thought was fairly decent at the time, I now realize that paying $6,000 per year towards my loans wouldn't even do anything to my balance. It would maintain it. And this moment played a significant role in my life. I was no longer working to build an income and build a life I would enjoy like I previously thought I would be. I was working for money that wasn't mine. I was earning cash that I would never see. And I was indebted to banks for what felt like forever. So I did what any intelligent college kid would do. I went back to RIT for my master's degree and acquired another $40,000 of debt. And I'm not creating this video to hate on college. My undergraduate and my graduate degree provided me with a phenomenal education that led to a lucrative career that I really enjoy. And I don't regret any of it. I'd do it all again. But as I sit here today, debt-free, I still remember the long, arduous road that got me here. I still remember checking in with my doctor for depression because my life seemed hopeless. I remember crying in bed just wanting to fast forward my life to a point where debt didn't exist. But this journey forced me to become financially literate. It forced me to become financially responsible. And it forced me to create excellent financial habits that not only allowed me to pay off $150,000 of debt, but is now allowing me to build long-term generational wealth. And today I'm going to detail how I've paid off all this debt within 10 years. So let's get into it. So the first thing I had to do was put a plan together. I immediately got a spreadsheet and then listed out all the loans I had. I put down the loan amounts, loan interest rates, and then minimum monthly payments. From there, I had a good idea of the minimum amount of payments I would need to make each month towards these loans. I could then put together a budget that showed my total monthly income and my total monthly expenses that now included the minimum loan payments. But by now you guys know me pretty well. I never shoot for the minimums, I'm always shooting for the optimals. And so I didn't want this debt looming over me for decades. And so I just wanted to get it paid off as soon as possible and get back to building that life that I knew I would enjoy. And so I was determined to pay off more than the minimums whenever I could. And I actually have a post that I created months ago on my website. I'll throw a link down in the description to that shows you which order you should pay off your loans. Personally, I chose the avalanche method where I'm paying off the highest interest rate loan first. This is mathematically the quickest way to pay off the loans compared to like the snowball method where you're shooting for the loan with the smallest balance first and then you're working your way up. But the snowball method is pretty good as well if you need that motivation or you're just getting started. Either way works pretty good. Check out that article if you're interested in learning more. There's not a big difference between either of them, but I think it's important to have a plan. 2, decrease expenses. Now, if I wanted to pay off my loans faster, the easiest way I could do this was by decreasing my expenses. So I got an apartment that was pretty cheap. It included Wi-Fi, it included TV, all for about $750 a month. If I was a little bit savvier, I probably would have got a roommate. And if my parents lived closer to Rochester, I would have definitely moved back in with them. Either of these options would have saved a lot more money. But either way, I got the 1-bedroom apartment. I got it as close to my job as I could to reduce my gas bill, as well as just save time and transportation. I also didn't spend money on subscriptions like Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, partially because it wasn't created at that time. But I also didn't go to restaurants. I didn't order out. I didn't get takeout or meal delivery. I didn't do a lot of things. I didn't have expensive hobbies. I didn't go to bars with friends or anything like that. I did whatever I could to cut my expenses and save as much money as I could so I could throw it at the loans. And surprisingly, I look back at how frugal I was at that time, and I don't regret any of it. I think I found a lot of other free ways to have fun and entertain myself, like hiking, walking, running, exploring town, exercising, just a lot of other things that just didn't cost money. And by minimizing your expenses like this, you can find an extra $5, $10, or even $20,000 in expenses that you can save, that you can then just take that money and throw it at the loans. And 3, increase your income, because you can only cut your costs so much. You likely need shelter, transportation, and food to survive. So even if you were to reduce your expenses as much as possible, you're still probably looking at about $15,000 minimum per year to live. And so if you really want to accelerate your debt repayment, you're likely going to need to increase your income. And while that's easier said than done, it's very possible. And unlike cutting expenses, your income is really limitless. And so my first 3-month internship, I got paid starting out at $15 per hour. My second 3-month internship was at $18 per hour. And then I got hired by that second internship employer for a starting salary of $65,000, which was a lot. But there was a lot of work that I put in to acquire skills to get that first job, and a lot of work that I put in to acquire skills and knowledge that has led to raises and promotions since then. But most of my time after work was spent acquiring my master's degree as well as work-related certifications. I ended up getting certifications in project management, network administration, cybersecurity, and database administration. I knew that I needed to acquire more skills if I wanted to get a higher paying job that would then allow me to pay back these loans faster. And not only have I put a lot of effort into acquiring higher paying skills, but I've also focused on achieving the goals set by my employer. I think it's really important to look at what your employer values and then work to excel in those areas. I think that's what's going to put you in the best position to achieve raises and promotions within your career. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is paying off a significant portion of loans in a brief period of time just isn't possible by cutting costs alone. You're going to need to focus on increasing your income. And there's many different ways to do this, from skill acquisition to salary negotiation, finding a new job, working a second job, getting a side hustle, or even working a third job like my sister does. And I'm not saying I'm going to maintain this gazelle intensity forever, as Dave Ramsey put it, but I think it was really valuable for me to maintain this intensity while I had this debt in place, because this debt was really eating away at me. It was really limiting my financial future. And I was willing to do whatever it takes to just get out of this situation and wipe out the debt. So here are my final thoughts. For 7 years, I had a significant amount of debt between my student loans and my car loan. All the income I was making, I never saw. The money wasn't mine, it got sent straight to the bank. And it was hard to live like this, where I was working really hard and it just seemed like I wasn't making any progress. But I put a plan together, and that allowed me to see the finish line. I then cut back my expenses as much as I could and focused on increasing my income as much as possible. And now 10 years later, I sit here debt-free, and I'm using this same approach to save money for early retirement. And despite it being a long, tough, arduous road, it's all been worth it. The lessons, the experiences, the financial habits that I've built have somehow been worth the $150,000 worth of debt. And I hope by sharing my story with you that it can help in some way in your journey to become debt-free. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Lastly, I offer a free health kit, which has my top 10 sleep tips, 1 Whole Foods plant-based recipe, and a mobility workout that you can stream on any device. That's all free. There's a link down in the description if you're interested in that. It also gets you signed up to my weekly newsletter, where I offer the 3 most important things I've read, watched, and listened to within the past week. All of it completely free. Link down in the description if you're interested in that. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.